Hi guys, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I am back with the second layout with my July kit for the Love of Homemade Kits series. And this is a series that I am working on with Megan, Felicia, and Hannah, where we each take an inspiration piece and build a kit, and then we spend 4 weeks showing you some process videos and what we create with the kit that we made out of our stash. And so today I am using a bunch of the pattern papers, and that floral is actually the inspiration piece for this kit. And so I am going to have just a white cardstock background. And what you're seeing me do right now is create just a bunch of layers with the pattern papers that I had chosen for this kit. So I've taken the inspiration piece, I've also taken that pink stripe is from the back of the inspiration piece, as well as my texture with that wood, and then my turquoise stripe. And I am just creating a centered block. So this is going to basically go in the middle of the page and be where I embellish and where all of my pictures live on the page. So these two pictures worked perfectly with this kit because of the colors in the photos and the colors in the kit. And they are from a trip that I did to Jamaica. And I actually went by myself for 6 days. And I got to stay in one of that little bungalow that you saw in the picture. And that was my home away from home. And I absolutely loved it. It was so wonderful, and it was such a different experience being on vacation completely by myself. This was the first major trip that I had taken completely by myself. So it was definitely a big adventure. So there you see, I'm making sure that I'm happy how I have everything layered up, and I added in that mustard layer just to kind of ground everything and bring it all together, and it worked perfectly in that sense to make sure that there was some continuity between everything. So there you see, I'm happy with my layers, so I'm pulling out my embellishments to figure out how I'm going to add some detail to this page. And this is the Simple Stories Life in Color ephemera pack. And so I've pulled out a bunch of those little tags, and there you see I pulled out that black and white heart border, as well as that big die cut word that says today. And then that butterfly is going to stay down there in that bottom corner, but I am going to add some more detail down there so that it's not all alone. Now I'm going through those plastic clips that I had pulled out, and I tend to not use these as clips, rather just use them as embellishments on the page. And so that pink clip is going to stay down there at the bottom and become part of my title. So my title for this layout is actually going to be Love Today. And then I went back and pulled out that Anything Goes sticker sheet from Echo Park, and I was going to try and use some of those banners, and then I was going to try the floral, and it just wasn't working for me. So I went ahead and went back to what I had already started with to try and add a little bit more, see what else I wanted to do, because that top corner just wasn't quite what I wanted yet. And there you see I'm trying some of those labels from the ephemera pack. I'm going to go with that camera labels, not sticker, but ephemera piece down on the bottom. And then I'm trying that XOXO that mimics that silver metallic that is in the bottom corner with the butterfly. And I like that up there, but I don't end up leaving it on that red tag because that red tag just isn't big enough. So I go ahead and pull out this red tag instead. And rather than having it off the top of the page, I put it off the side, and I actually like that a lot better. And it goes perfectly with that XOXO because I wanted to make sure that I had that silver detail in the top left and the bottom right. So it kind of draws you through the pictures in the middle. And there you see I've pulled out those Dear Lizzie buttons that were my wood veneer for this kit. And I'm adding a few of those in each of my little embellishment clusters. So there's going to be one in that top cluster that's kind of layered up with that XOXO. And then there's going to be one down by my title that says Love Today, so it's got the heart. And then there's also one down on the bottom kind of tucked in behind that butterfly because I do have that butterfly on some pop dots to make it stand out. And now I've pulled out that Anything Goes sticker sheet again, and it had just some little tiny flowers as well as some little hearts. And I'm putting those in just a few different locations with clustered up with some of those tags. And then I went back to the Dear Lizzie sticker sheet that has all of those phrase stickers on it. And I love using the phrases. And so what I did is I went through and found a bunch of different phrases in both black and pink that kind of went with the theme of this layout of me being on this trip and this journey by myself. And I'm putting those on each of those little tags that I have clustered throughout the layers of the layout. So the 3 on top say, the dream is real, live colorfully, and enjoying the journey. And then the 3 on the bottom say, live in the dream, let's go anywhere, and be free. And so those 6 phrases kind of went with everything I was trying to say on this layout and the feeling I wanted to convey about being on this trip by myself and how different of an experience that was. As you'll notice, I also thought about adding one up there in the top corner, but I decided against it because it just wouldn't show through correctly with that XOXO. I tried on a little tag, that doesn't really help, so I end up just going without it. I do add that additional 1 or 2 down there in the bottom, which you'll see here in a second as I decide to layer in some additional little tags in those bottom layers as well, and it just kind of draws everything together. So rather than really having embellishment clusters this time, there are some clusters you can identify, but for the most part, I've kind of embellished that box around my photo and contained pretty much everything in that area. And then I went ahead and added that little floral piece to the top corner, and that kind of sets that area off a little bit because it matches the coral picture, the coral in my dress in the picture. And then this is where you see I'm adding those little flowers to the tags to kind of draw some additional detail to those. And it does go with the kind of tropical theme of this layout that I was trying to get at. And I'm just making sure that everything is tucked in. So I didn't want any of the layers to be on top necessarily. The pictures were the top layer. And there I've gone back with my color shine, and I am adding a little bit, and that is in mustard, just to draw in that extra yellow detail. I really hope you enjoyed this layout, and you'll check out Hannah, Megan, and Felicia's layouts as well, and I'll be back again next week with the next layout in this series. Bye!